Dad, why can't you see me anymore? Why can't you see what she's doing to me? When 7-year-old paralyzed Jordan asked this, he had no idea his father, billionaire Daniel Carter, was only pretending to be blind to test his new black maid, Grace, with his son. Daniel suspected his fiancée, Victoria, was after his $800 million, but he needed to know if Grace, the humble woman caring for his disabled boy, was genuine or just another person trying to use them. But the truth he uncovered destroyed everything. A cruel fiancé, a conspirator's trap, a maid framed for theft, a paralyzed child caught in the middle, and a shocking connection from the past that nobody saw coming. The moment Daniel removed his dark glasses and revealed he'd been watching everything all along, 3 lives changed forever. What happened next was shocking. Watch till the end. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. What time is it where you are right now? Daniel Carter woke up that Tuesday morning in his Malibu mansion with a weight pressing against his chest. Something had been whispering, warning him for 8 months now, a question he could no longer ignore. Did Victoria Laurent really love him, or was she only in love with his $800 million tech empire? The Carter estate stretched across 12 acres of prime California coastline, modern glass architecture, an infinity pool overlooking the Pacific, everything pristine. Everything empty since his wife Elena died 3 years ago in the car accident that left his 7-year-old son Jordan paralyzed from the waist down. Daniel was 41 now, a self-made black billionaire who'd revolutionized AI software. But what the world didn't see was the man terrified of losing the only family he had left. "Dad," a soft voice called. Daniel turned to see Jordan rolling in, holding up a tablet. The boy's brown eyes, so much like Elena's, were full of fading hope. "What are you working on, champ?" "A new algorithm," Jordan said quietly. "Are you going riding today?" Daniel swallowed hard. He hated lying to his son, but today everything depended on it. "Yeah, buddy, right after breakfast." Victoria appeared in the doorway, flawless as always, honey blonde hair in perfect waves, a cream Chanel dress, heels clicking sharply against marble floors. "Daniel, your protein shake is ready," she said crisply, barely glancing at Jordan. "And you, sweetheart, shouldn't you be doing physical therapy?" Jordan lowered his head. "Sorry." As Jordan rolled away, Daniel watched Victoria. She didn't even glance at the boy. Not a smile, not a word. And that told him everything. During breakfast, Victoria rambled about their engagement party. Beverly Hills venue. Celebrity planner. Guest lists. She wanted the world to see her beside Daniel Carter. But Daniel wasn't listening. His mind was on the plan he'd perfected with his oldest friend, Dr. Raymond Chen. After breakfast, he'd ride out alone. He'd fall on purpose, and he'd come back pretending to be blind. A risky plan, but necessary. He needed to know Victoria's truth before handing her his fortune. Before letting her become Jordan's stepmother. 2 hours later, a scream tore through the estate. "Mr. Carter fell. Call Dr. Chen." Daniel lay in the dirt, blood trickling from his temple. Real blood. A convincing fall. Victoria ran over, heels sinking into grass. "Daniel, talk to me." "My head." "Victoria, everything's dark. I can't see anything." In the medical suite, Dr. Chen examined him while staff gathered anxiously. "It's severe optic nerve trauma," Dr. Chen announced gravely. "Vision loss may be temporary or permanent. Only time will tell." "Permanent?" Victoria gasped, but Daniel heard it clearly. Her voice didn't break with fear. It sharpened with calculation. "We'll need extra help," she said quickly. "Someone full-time. And for the boy, too. I can't manage a blind man and a disabled child alone." The boy, not Jordan. The boy. Jordan wheeled in, eyes wide with terror. "Dad, can you see me?" "Not right now, champ." "But it might come back." "Dad, I can help take care of you. I can do stuff." "You can barely take care of yourself," Victoria snapped coldly. "Let the adults handle things." The room went silent. Daniel clenched his fist beneath the blanket. He wanted to expose everything right then, but not yet. He needed to see exactly how far Victoria would go. 3 days later, Grace Mitchell arrived. 29 with warm brown skin, natural hair in a bun, and kind eyes that had seen hardship. She carried one worn suitcase held together with duct tape. Grace had been working 3 jobs since her grandmother died 6 months ago. Cleaning houses, waiting tables, overnight shifts. She was drowning in debt, barely surviving. When she saw the job posting for live-in help in Malibu, she didn't hesitate. What she didn't share was the grief she carried. Her grandmother Esther, who'd raised her, was gone, and her younger brother Marcus had drowned at 8 years old when she was 16 and supposed to be watching him. She'd spent 13 years carrying that guilt. Victoria met her in the foyer with a cold stare. No handshake. No warmth. "You must be the new employee. Your job is straightforward. Clean, prepare meals, assist Mr. Carter, and manage the boy. Jordan is in a wheelchair. Keep him safe and out of the way." The way she said "out of the way" made something twist in Grace's stomach. Grace's room was small but clean. After changing into her uniform, she began learning the house. As she dusted the living room, she heard a soft voice. "Hi." She turned to see a boy in a wheelchair. Brown skin, curly hair, the saddest eyes she'd ever seen. He wore a NASA shirt. "Hi, sweetheart. You must be Jordan." Grace crouched to eye level. "Yeah. You're the new housekeeper." "I am. My name's Grace. How are you today, honey?" He shrugged. "My dad can't see me anymore." Grace's heart broke. "Jordan, your daddy may not see with his eyes, but he still sees you with his heart. A father's love doesn't need eyes." Jordan was quiet, then whispered, "Do you have kids?" The question hit like a blow. "I had a little brother. His name was Marcus. He passed away when he was 8. Jordan touched her arm. "I'm sorry. Thank you, sweetheart." "My mom died too," Jordan said, "in a car accident. That's when I got hurt." Understanding passed between them. "You like space?" Grace pointed at his shirt. His face lit up slightly. "I love space. I used to go to the observatory with my mom." "That sounds amazing. Victoria says it's pointless now. Since I can't walk, she says I should focus on realistic things." Grace's jaw tightened. "Jordan, being in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can't reach for the stars. Stephen Hawking couldn't walk, and he understood black holes." "Really? Really? Want to show me your room later?" "Yeah, that would be cool." Victoria's voice cut through. "Jordan. Physical therapy. Now." The light died in his eyes. He rolled away quickly. "You were hired to clean, not bond," Victoria said icily. "Understood." "Yes, ma'am." Later, Grace took lunch to Daniel's suite. She knocked gently. "Come in." Daniel sat wearing dark sunglasses. His face was handsome, strong. He tilted his head toward her voice. "Lunch is ready, Mr. Carter. You're new. What's your name?" "Grace." "Grace Mitchell, sir. Where are you from, Grace?" "Atlanta originally, moved to LA about 6 years ago. It's just me now since my grandmother passed." "You've met my son?" "Yes, sir. Jordan is a wonderful boy." "He is," Daniel said quietly, voice cracking slightly. "He's been through hell. This blindness makes everything harder for him. Mr. Carter, if I may, Jordan doesn't need someone who can see. He needs someone who pays attention. And that boy knows he's loved. That's what matters most." "How can you tell?" "Because he talks about you like you hung the moon, sir. That comes from a father who shows up." Daniel felt something loosen in his chest. This woman had been here 4 hours and understood his son better than Victoria had in 8 months. "Thank you, Grace." What neither knew was Victoria stood outside, listening, hands clenched into fists. Over 2 weeks, Daniel watched everything. He heard Victoria on the phone complaining. "I don't know how much longer I can take this. Playing nurse to a blind man is exhausting. And that boy is so needy." Her friend laughed. "At least Daniel's loaded. Once you're married, you'll have access to everything." "Exactly," Victoria said. "That's the plan." Daniel's hands clenched. But then there was Grace. One afternoon, Daniel heard something he hadn't heard in 3 years. Jordan laughing. Pure, bubbling joy. He moved toward the sound and found them in the greenhouse. Grace sat on the floor with Jordan, planting seeds in adapted containers. Okay, Captain Jordan, Grace said officially. Mission Control needs you to plant these tomato seeds. Can you handle that? Affirmative, Mission Control, Jordan giggled. You're basically training to be a space botanist, like the guy in The Martian. That's so cool. Grace picked up a flower crown she'd woven. For completing your mission, I crown you King of the Space Garden. She placed it on his head. Jordan burst into pure laughter. Daniel, hidden behind the doorframe, felt tears sting his eyes. He hadn't heard that laugh since Elena died. This woman had given his son back to him. That night at dinner, the contrast was painful. Jordan's hands trembled slightly from medication, and rice fell on the tablecloth. Jordan? Victoria sighed dramatically. Must you make a mess every night? Haven't you learned to eat properly? Sorry, Jordan whispered. He's a child, Victoria, Daniel said evenly. A child who needs discipline, she snapped. If we're getting married, I won't tolerate this at our table. Dad, can I go to my room? Jordan's voice broke. Yeah, champ. Jordan wheeled away quickly. The moment he left, Victoria sighed. See? Too sensitive. Everything makes him cry. Daniel squeezed his napkins so hard the fabric tore. Later, Grace heard crying from Jordan's room. She knocked gently. Jordan, can I come in? Yeah. She found him sobbing into his pillow. Oh no, what happened? She hates me, Jordan cried. Victoria told me when they get married, she's sending me away to boarding school. Far away, and if I tell Dad, she'll say I'm lying. Grace's blood ran cold. When did she say this? Last week. She said I better get used to it. Grace cupped his face. Jordan, your father loves you more than anything. Victoria doesn't get to decide your future. Nobody's going to hurt you. That's a promise. But you're just the maid. Grace's eyes blazed. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Nobody hurts you while I'm around. Jordan threw his arms around her. I wish you were my mom. Grace held him tightly, tears forming. Oh, sweetheart, I wish I could be. What neither knew was Daniel stood outside the door, frozen. He'd followed the crying and heard everything. Grace protecting his son. Grace loving Jordan without agenda. Just pure love. Elena had held Jordan like that once, but Victoria, never. Daniel slipped back to his room, chest aching. His test was working, but he was also discovering something unexpected. He was falling in love with Grace Mitchell. What do you think Victoria will do next? Have you ever known someone who was sweet in public but cruel in private? Comment below. A week passed. Each day revealed more of Victoria's cruelty, but she also noticed something. Daniel was different when Grace was around. He smiled at her voice. He asked her questions, and Jordan followed Grace everywhere, laughing with her, calling for her. Victoria's jealousy turned dangerous. One morning, Jordan tipped his wheelchair, reaching for a book. He fell onto the grass, scraping his knees. Grace ran over instantly. Oh, sweetheart, what happened? I leaned too far, Jordan whimpered. Grace scooped him up. I've got you. Let's clean those scrapes. Victoria watched from the window with crossed arms and didn't move. Daniel called out, Jordan? What happened? He's fine, Mr. Carter, Grace called. Just a little tumble. When Daniel reached Victoria, he asked, You weren't going to help? Grace was handling it, Victoria said coldly. Why should I interfere? He's about to be your stepson. Almost, Victoria said icily, but not yet. That evening, Grace tended Jordan's scraped knees, applying bandages with little rockets. Daniel stood outside listening. Can I ask you something? Jordan said. Anything. Why are you so nice to me? Grace cupped his face. Sweetheart, when you lose someone you love, it leaves a hole. And sometimes someone comes along who fills that space, not replacing who you lost, but because love grows back. You fill the space for me too, Jordan said. You're the nicest person ever. After my dad. Your dad is a very good man. Yeah, but he's sad. And Victoria doesn't help. She just makes things worse. What makes you say that? I heard her on the phone yesterday. She said after she marries Dad, she'll send me away and have all his money. Grace froze. Jordan, you need to tell your father. What if he doesn't believe me? He will, I promise. But the door burst open. Victoria stood there, eyes cold. Jordan, bedtime, now. Grace shot Jordan a worried look. He wheeled out quickly. When he was gone, Victoria's voice dropped to venom. You and I need to talk about boundaries. You're the maid, Grace, not the mother. You're trying to replace me. I'm just caring for Jordan like you asked. Don't play innocent, Victoria hissed. You think you can steal my life? You're a maid from the hood who hit the lottery. Stay in your lane or I will destroy you. Understood? With respect, ma'am, you don't scare me. Victoria smiled coldly. We'll see. She left, heels clicking like gunshots. The next day, Victoria met her brother Derek at a Beverly Hills cafe. Derek was a disgraced private investigator with no morals. I need your help, Victoria said. The maid is poisoning Daniel against me. I need evidence planted. What are we planting? Victoria pulled out a diamond bracelet. My grandmother's. Worth $50,000. It goes in her room. She's caught stealing, and she's gone. $20,000 when it's done, Derek said. Deal. 3 days later, while Grace was at Jordan's therapy appointment, Derek planted the bracelet deep in Grace's dresser drawer. That evening at dinner, Victoria gasped. My bracelet. It's missing. My grandmother's diamond bracelet worth $50,000. Are you sure? Daniel asked. Positive. Someone took it. Grace wouldn't take anything, Jordan protested. I didn't say it was Grace, Victoria said, but she is the only new person here. I'm calling an investigator. The next morning, Derek arrived posing as Julian Carter, private investigator. Mr. Carter, I'm investigating the theft of Miss Laurent's valuable bracelet. I need to search staff quarters. Grace stood trembling. I've never stolen anything in my life. Then you won't mind me searching, Derek said. Go ahead, Daniel said quietly, but I'm coming with you. They went to Grace's room. Derek searched methodically. Finally, he opened her dresser and pulled out a sock. Inside was a sparkling bracelet. Grace's eyes went wide with horror. That's not mine. Someone planted it. Derek held it up. Ms. Laurent, is this yours? Victoria gasped dramatically. Yes. Oh my God, yes. No, Grace's voice broke. This is a setup. Mr. Carter, please. I didn't do this. Daniel felt rage building, but he needed to let this play out. The evidence is concerning, Grace, Daniel said carefully. You're not to leave the property until the sheriff investigates. Grace nodded, tears streaming. Yes, sir. She collapsed on her bed, sobbing. Her life was over. And worst of all, she'd never see Jordan again. Jordan rolled into her room. Grace, I know you didn't do it. Thank you, sweetheart. But nobody else will believe me. My dad will, Jordan said fiercely. If you're loving this story, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. What would you do if you were Daniel? Comment below. That night, Dr. Raymond Chen came to Daniel's office with a folder. Security footage showing Victoria and Derek entering Grace's room together. Phone records showing 15 calls between them. Bank records showing Victoria withdrew $20,000 in cash. And the final piece, a recording Raymond obtained from Derek's ex-wife. On it, Victoria and Derek discussed everything. Victoria's voice was crystal clear. That maid will be gone by tomorrow, and Daniel will never trust another woman around his son again. Daniel listened 3 times, jaw clenched. But Raymond wasn't finished. Daniel, there's something else, Raymond said carefully. Something I discovered while running background checks. What is it? Raymond pulled out an old photograph from the folder. It was faded, dated 13 years ago. It showed a community pool in Atlanta. In the background, barely visible, was a young teenage girl. Next to her was a woman holding the hand of a small boy. Daniel stared at the photo. Why are you showing me this? Because, Raymond said quietly, that's Grace, 13 years ago, and the woman next to her is Esther Mitchell, your wife Elena's old nursing school friend. Daniel's heart stopped. What? Elena and Esther were roommates in nursing school before you met Elena, Raymond continued. They lost touch after graduation when Esther moved back to Atlanta. But Daniel, look at the little boy in the photo. Daniel looked closer. The boy wore a NASA shirt. He had the same smile as Jordan. That's Grace's brother Marcus, Raymond said, the one who drowned. Elena was there that day. She tried to save him. She performed CPR for 20 minutes while they waited for paramedics. It's in the incident report. Daniel's hands trembled. Elena never told me. She probably didn't want to bring up something so painful. But Daniel, Grace doesn't know either. She doesn't know Elena tried to save her brother. She doesn't know the connection. Daniel sat back, his mind reeling. The woman caring for his son, the woman he was falling in love with, had a connection to Elena he never knew existed. Does this change anything? Raymond asked. No, Daniel said firmly, but it means Elena brought Grace to us for a reason. Even from beyond. Raymond nodded slowly. So what's the plan? Now, Daniel said. Now we spring the trap. The next morning, Daniel called Victoria to his office. She arrived confident. We need to talk, Victoria. Of course, darling. Are you finally admitting hiring that maid was a mistake? Actually, Daniel said, turning to face her, I want to ask you something. Why did you and your brother plant jewelry in Grace's room? Victoria froze. What? Daniel, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop lying. I know everything. You can't know anything, Victoria stammered. You can't even see. About that, Daniel said. He removed his sunglasses. Victoria went completely white. Surprised, Daniel said, looking directly at her with perfect vision. I've never been blind. Not for 1 second. But the accident, Dr. Chen is my oldest friend. He helped me stage it. I faked blindness to see who you really were, to test if you loved me or just wanted my money. Congratulations, Victoria. You failed. Daniel, please. Explain what? How you called my son broken? How you planned to send him away? How you framed an innocent woman? He pressed a button. The recording played. Victoria's voice filled the room. Victoria's legs gave out. Where did you get that? Your brother's ex-wife was very helpful. Daniel, please, I love you. You don't know what love is, Daniel said coldly. The door opened. Sheriff Reynolds walked in with deputies. Behind them, Grace and Raymond. Victoria Laurent, you're under arrest for conspiracy, filing false reports, tampering with evidence, and fraud. No, Victoria screamed as deputies grabbed her. Daniel, please don't do this. Take her away. Victoria fought and screamed. You'll regret this. Nobody will want you and that broken kid. Get her out of my house. They dragged her out, her screams echoing until the door closed. Grace stood shaking, tears streaming. Mr. Carter, I don't understand. Daniel walked over. Grace, I owe you an explanation and an apology. I was never blind. I faked it to expose Victoria. I know that sounds cruel, but I had to protect my son. You could see this whole time? Everything. I saw how you cared for Jordan, how you loved him without any agenda. And I'm sorry this test hurt you. Grace wiped her eyes. Why didn't you stop them before they planted the bracelet? Because I needed concrete evidence. This way, she can't claim anything. We have her on recording, on footage, everything. Daniel hesitated, then pulled out the old photograph. But Grace, there's something else you need to know. Something about my wife, Elena. What about her? He handed her the photo. This was taken 13 years ago, at a community pool in Atlanta. Grace stared at it, her face going pale. That's me, and my grandmother, and that's Marcus. How did you get this? Elena was there that day, Grace, Daniel said gently. She and your grandmother, Esther, were friends from nursing school. Elena was the one who tried to save your brother. She performed CPR for 20 minutes, trying to bring him back. Grace's knees buckled. Daniel caught her. No, she whispered. I never knew. Grandmother never told me someone tried to save him. I always thought nobody tried. Elena tried everything, Daniel said softly. It wasn't your fault, Grace, and it wasn't for lack of trying to save him. Grace sobbed. All these years, I thought I failed him completely. You didn't fail anyone, Daniel said, holding her. And somehow Elena brought you back to us. To Jordan. To me. Grace looked up at him through tears. You really think so? I know so, Daniel said. Because you're exactly who we need. Who Jordan needs. Who I need. Where's Jordan? Grace asked, waiting in the library. And he's asking for you. Grace ran. She found Jordan by the window. When he saw her, his face lit up. Grace, you're okay? I'm okay, sweetheart. Everything's okay now. Dad told me everything. Is Victoria really gone? She's really gone. Forever. Jordan threw his arms around her neck. I'm so glad you're staying. Grace held him, then pulled back. Jordan, I need to tell you something about your mom. Something beautiful. She told him about Elena and Marcus, about the connection, about how his mother had tried to save her brother all those years ago. So Mom brought you to us? Jordan asked, eyes wide. I think she did, Grace whispered. I really think she did. Daniel appeared in the doorway, watching them. Grace looked up, meeting his eyes for the first time without pretense. Daniel, she said softly. I don't know what happens now. Grace, I don't want you as staff, Daniel said, walking in. I want you as family. If you'll stay. Jordan looked between them. Does that mean Grace can be my mom? For real? Daniel smiled. If she wants to be. Grace looked at Jordan, then Daniel, tears falling. I can't think of anything I'd want more. Daniel took her hand, helping her stand. Grace Mitchell, you gave my son back his laughter. You gave me back hope, and somehow Elena led you to us. You became the most important person in our lives. Daniel, are you sure? People will talk. Let them talk, Daniel said firmly. You're not just anything, Grace. You're everything. To him, to me. He kissed her softly. Jordan made a gagging sound. Gross, but also, finally. They laughed and came together in an embrace, a new family forming from broken pieces, connected by love that transcended even death. 1 year later, Grace and Daniel stood in the greenhouse surrounded by flowers and loved ones. Dr. Raymond Chen officiated. Jordan, in a sharp suit, served as ring bearer. Grace's vows looked at Jordan first. Jordan, you taught me love isn't lost forever. It's found again in unexpected places. You filled a space I thought would always be empty. And your mother, she brought us together. I feel her watching over us. Jordan beamed through tears. She turned to Daniel. And you showed me that trust is built through truth, even complicated truth. You gave me a home, a family. I love you, Daniel Carter. Daniel's vows were simple. Grace, Elena sent you to us. I believe that with everything in me. You saved us. You brought light back. I promise to spend my life making sure you know how extraordinary you are. They kissed. Jordan cheered so loudly everyone laughed. 6 months later, the three sat in Jordan's space garden under the stars. Jordan looked through his telescope, a gift from his parents. Mom, can you help me find Saturn? Jordan said. The name natural now. Grace adjusted it. See the rings. That's so cool. Daniel wrapped his arm around Grace. Happy? More than I ever thought possible. She paused. You know, I think Elena would approve. I know she would, Daniel said. She always had a plan, even from heaven. Jordan held up a drawing, 3 figures holding hands under stars, and above them, a faint angel figure watching over. At the bottom, my family, past, present, and forever. Grace's eyes filled with tears. It's perfect, just like us, Jordan said simply. And for the first time in years, it was true. They weren't perfect by the world's standards, but they were real. They were whole. They were connected by a love that transcended time and even death. They were home. Victoria was convicted and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Derek served 18 months. Neither would be part of the Carter family again. Jordan's YouTube channel teaching adaptive science went viral. He became a spokesperson for wheelchair accessibility in STEM. Grace still tells him every day he'll be an astronaut. Daniel sold his company for $1.2 billion and now runs a foundation for children with disabilities. Grace runs outreach programs, and sometimes, on quiet evenings, Grace visits Elena's grave and thanks her for the gift of a second chance, for leading her to the family she was always meant to find. The Carter family learned the greatest love stories aren't just about how people meet, but about how they're connected by forces bigger than themselves, how they choose each other, and how they build something beautiful from broken pieces. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe. Tell us in the comments, do you believe in signs from heaven? What was your favorite moment? Share this video with someone who needs to hear about love, family, and divine connections. The Carter family story teaches us something powerful about life. Sometimes the people who come into our lives aren't accidents. Sometimes they're answers to prayers we didn't even know we were praying. Daniel learned that real love doesn't need tests when it's genuine. Grace shows up in how someone treats the most vulnerable among us. Victoria was beautiful on the outside, but Grace was beautiful where it mattered most, in her heart, in her actions, in her character. Grace discovered that the guilt she'd carried for 13 years wasn't hers to bear, that sometimes forgiveness comes full circle in the most unexpected ways, that the brother she lost led her to a son who needed her just as much. And Jordan? He learned that family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who loves you not despite your challenges, but through them. The real lesson here is this: before you let someone into your life, into your family, into your heart, watch how they treat those who can do nothing for them. Watch how they treat children, the elderly, the disabled, the staff, the servers, the people they think don't matter, because that's who they really are when the mask comes off. Victoria treated Jordan like a burden when she thought no one important was watching. Grace treated him like a treasure when she had nothing to gain. That's the difference between someone who wants your life and someone who wants to build a life with you. And finally, never underestimate the power of divine connections. Elena couldn't stay, but she made sure Jordan would never be without a mother's love. She made sure Daniel would find his way back to joy. Sometimes the people we lose become the angels who guide the people we need right into our arms. Test the character of those around you, not with deception, but with attention. Pay attention to the small moments, the unguarded reactions, the treatment of those who hold no power. That's where truth lives. And if you're the Grace in someone's story, the one working hard, staying humble, showing up with genuine love even when it's not your job, know this: your goodness will be seen. Your authenticity will be rewarded. The right people will recognize your value. Real love doesn't need a perfect beginning. It just needs honest people willing to build something real together. So the next time someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And the next time you feel lost, remember that sometimes you're not lost at all. You're exactly where you're meant to be, meeting exactly who you're meant to meet. What's your biggest takeaway from Daniel, Grace, and Jordan's story? Drop it in the comments below. And remember, hit that subscribe button because we bring you stories that don't just entertain, they teach, inspire, and remind you of what really matters in life. Until next time, choose kindness, choose authenticity, and trust that the right people will find their way to you.